You're listening to the Fan Club Podcast, where two polar opposites experience each other's fandoms for the very first time.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Fan Club Podcast. My name is Sarah.
This is Matthew.
And today's episode is brought to you by COVID.
Yeah.
We both tested positive this week, so we're trying to batch record while we can. All is well, we're on the mend. Mucinex is a godsend.
Yes.
Overall, we're fine. Could be a lot worse. So today is episode 21.
Yep. Yes, it is.
As he said before we clicked record, it is legal to drink.
Yeah.
To which I had to remind him it's 21 weeks, not 21 years. If our podcast is going for 21 years...
I would be impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably going to be enough Marvel stuff to last 20
So today we are going to talk about Captain Marvel. And if your favorite movie in the series is Captain Marvel, take this episode with a grain of salt. Please still listen. Neither of our opinions of this movie are that favorable.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite one.
What's your least favorite? Eternals. Okay.
Yes.
So, personally, I see the merit in a bad movie. This movie wasn't necessarily bad in the sense that it wasn't poorly made.
Yeah.
It was well crafted. The worst thing, in my opinion, that a movie can be is boring.
Yes.
And this is what that movie... This movie was boring.
Yes, it was.
It dragged. I'm going to try not to rip into it too much. Because we are fully aware that people love this movie.
Yes.
Personally, I don't get how. But I know people really, really like Carol Danvers. I know people really like Captain Marvel. We watched Captain Marvel and Endgame in the same day. Again, we were sick. So I was kind of not looking forward to seeing her again when she cropped up in Endgame.
Yeah. Just
because I just was so bored with her in Captain Marvel. And I don't know. I'm saying all of this off the bat because I might turn some people away, and that's fine. Whatever. There are many other episodes. There's 20 other episodes for you to listen to that. Okay, maybe 19, because I didn't like Thor. But there are 19 more episodes of us talking favorably about movies. Or much more favorably, I should say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if this isn't your jam, totally get it. Yeah, I just found this movie to drag a lot.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? You've been dreading it.
For me, it's more... Because I like the expositional movies. But this one, we didn't need to know more... We didn't need to know why Nick Fury's eye got scratched out.
Okay, we'll get to that when we get to it. I think it's freaking stupid.
Or even, like, the whole Ronin thing.
We didn't need to know the backstory on certain people.
Because he's dead.
Frankly, and like I said, we'll get to it when we get to it, but I think that they should have left Nick's eye thing as ambiguous. Yeah. Because I think that adds to the mystery of his character. Yeah. Other than the fact that, like, there's just a lot of exposition that just, like, was not needed. Was that this movie had some serious structural issues in the sense that, like, I can deal with a movie maybe, you know, dealing with some timeline issues. Like, literally Endgame messes with time. Yes. But it does it in such a way that's cohesive and easy to follow. Yeah. This movie... It's intentionally confusing.
If they didn't tell you, if they didn't have, like, the subtle blockbuster or the pager or any of that...
That really bugged me. And, like, okay.
You would not know that it was the 90s.
No, not at all. And, like, this is coming from a person, personally, that I do really love, like... I love a movie with a set time and place. And, like, that... I really love a movie that does really well in its set dressing and in its locations and in its costumes to tell a story of where and when this is taking place. Yeah. I don't think Captain Marvel did a good job of that. Because it literally, besides a handful of things, it could take place in... when did this movie come out? 2019? Mm-hmm. Like, it literally could have... Like, nobody was wearing anything... And...
Okay. Of that time.
Yeah, and, like, I'm not gonna pretend I'm an expert on the 90s because, like, I was a literal baby. But at the same time, like, that stuff, like, those clothing trends are, like, trendy nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard to scour your thrift stores. It
Yeah.
just felt exceedingly lazy.
They could have, I mean...
There are a
They
handful...
could have gone with any time to introduce her in. They could have even introduced her in the original Avengers.
Well,
and it would have made more sense. Or any other time.
Here's my thing, though, is there are many points in which Nick Fury probably would have mentioned her.
Yeah.
Or that would have brought her in. He would have brought her in during the Battle of New York.
Yep.
But because she wasn't introduced yet, or she didn't exist in the studio's mind.
Yeah, no, she did not. She was an afterthought.
And so it felt like, especially in, I hate to bring up like a future episode just because obviously we haven't recorded it yet. We haven't gotten there.
Not.
But she feels shoehorned into that movie because, like, where were you during Civil War? Where were you during the Battle of New York? Where were you during XYZ?
Where was she during Sokovia?
Exactly.
When a literal city fell from the sky.
I don't know. Again, I don't want to rip too hard into it, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going to have to. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Brie Larson is just kind of boring in this role.
Yep.
I don't love that she doesn't. I would have preferred. I can't think of a person that I would have preferred, but I would have preferred an actress with a little bit of quirk.
I mean, they didn't need to make a Captain Marvel.
I'm not saying that, but if they were going to make it with somebody else, I would have preferred somebody that maybe had a little bit of extra humor or, like, you know, a deadpan sarcasm or something like that, like some life in her.
Yeah.
But Brie Larson just felt like she was asleep for the entire movie. So anyway, let's jump into it. I apologize if this this episode is a little bit more on the negative side. I know, like, a lot of people really love this movie, and I know it sucks to have people ragging on stuff that you like. Yeah. I understand. I like bad things too. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I get it, but
this one is just
it.
Neither one of us really enjoyed it.
No, and if this episode is a little bit shorter, that is why. I tried to write my notes as least inflammatory as possible, but I got really frustrated in some parts.
Yeah.
So Captain Marvel was released in 2019 and directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, who I looked up, and their IMDb is just, like, they work together a lot. Like, their entire IMDb is, like, them working together.
Yeah.
Nothing of which I've heard of. They've done a lot of, like, artsy, random movies.
I'm sure that this was filmed sort of artsy.
Some of their cinematography is a choice.
Yeah.
Maybe not a good one. I do remember this movie coming out when I worked at Box Lunch. And I remember we sold, like, right around the time I left Box Lunch, they started selling a jacket that was reminiscent of her outfit. The movie starts, the logos start with a remembrance to Stan, because this is
the first one where Stanley
had died. Stanley had just died prior to this movie.
So this was the last movie.
He died, like, in production, I think.
While you're looking that up, do you want to guess when Captain Marvel was first introduced in the Marvel Comics? Do you want to guess a random decade?
The 80s.
Earlier.
70s.
Earlier.
50s.
Later.
60s.
Yes.
So she was...
late 60s. That's the thing. There's Captain Marvel, and there's also Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was introduced in Marvel Superheroes 12 of December of 1967. And then Captain Marvel, who was originally Miss Marvel of the Avengers.
He died in November 2018. Yeah, Captain Marvel was filmed between January and July 2018, and Stan Lee died in November 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So, because he's in a cameo.
Is he a cameo in Endgame?
No. So, R.I.P. Stan.
Yeah.
That makes me really sad, because no matter how you feel about any of the heroes, like, the man created, like...
everything.
He was literally the brainchild behind, like, so much.
I mean,
like, he is solely, well, not solely, but he is mainly responsible for, like, one of the most, like, successful film franchises in the world.
Mm-hmm. He is the reason why we have Spider-Man, though. So
But in the MCU.
no,
Or in general?
In general. So originally, when Spider-Man was first introduced, the editors nixed Spider-Man. Said, no, we do not want Spider-Man at all. So Stan Lee said, fine, here's what we'll do. They were finishing a arc for a superhero. Like, they were canceling the superhero. They put Spider-Man in it. That comic was the most successful comic of its time. And so the editors came and like, you know what? Let's actually make Spider-Man. And he's like, you know what? I'm actually changing him to be a teenager now. When originally Spider-Man was an adult.
Well, and I don't want to water down, like, not to discount the movies at all.
Yeah.
But I don't want to water down Stan Lee's contributions to just the movies.
No,
because he is... Without the comics, the movies obviously would not exist.
Yeah.
However, we cannot discount the fact that the MCU films are like mega impactful on cinema in general.
Yes.
I'm not gonna say that they're like, you know, a Citizen Kane, a Titanic.
I mean, they
you know,
revamped.
I'm not gonna say they're not like groundbreaking cinema. That's not at all what I'm saying.
No, but they did help remake the superhero genre.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Matrix did with sci-fi.
Exactly.
Like, sci-fi was
They
dying.
revolutionized it.
Like, and Matrix redid CGI.
But also look at, like, from Iron Man 1 to Endgame, how massively different the CGI and the special effects are.
Yes.
And, like, I know Stan Lee didn't necessarily have a hand in that, but, like, this is such a massively successful franchise to the point where, like, as a person who, prior to this project, had never seen any of these films, save for, like, 2 or 3 of them,
yeah.
I still, like, the Marvel knowledge still pervaded my life.
Yeah.
Like, I still, having never seen this stuff, having never read a comic book a day in my life, I still knew this stuff.
Yeah, because it was everywhere. The MCU,
And Stan Lee is responsible for that.
Yes. Actually, we can thank Paramount.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Stan Lee, and, like, obviously I'm not a comic book nerd.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak to that. But I think Stan Lee is, like, massively to thank for so many, like, parts of entertainment.
Yeah.
And he revolutionized an entire genre.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also, like, never heard anything negative about the guy.
No.
Like, and this is, like, in this generation where, like, literally everybody's getting canceled left, right, and center.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, who knows what he did in his personal life, but I've never heard anyone say anything negative.
I think one person tried, but then that came out just as false.
He just seemed like such a sweet man. So the movie opens with this flashback. And we see this, like, this scene in, like, multiple points throughout the movie. Because, like, this whole movie is framed...
Oh, yeah.
This whole movie is framed around Carol not knowing, like, her background.
Yes.
Which, again, pulls into a whole question about, like, I hate this framing device of, like, a character, like, not knowing their reality or, like, it's all a dream. Like, I hate that crap.
No, it's not a dream. She was more brainwashed.
Yeah, no.
So, I would say it's not Stockholm Syndrome, but I don't know how else you would call it, because she's been brainwashed. So, to the point where she believes what she was told.
Yeah, and, like, she doesn't have the substantial memory to back it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to, like, Bucky.
Yeah.
In a way.
Similar to Bucky.
Not in a...
No, similar way. Similar. Yeah, because he was left for dead.
And he
was found almost dead and he was brainwashed. So, yeah. They're pretty similar.
Not exact, but they're parallel, I feel like.
Yeah. Similar things happened.
So she gets attacked and she's bleeding blue. This is the one thing I will say, is I like that little seed that we planted at the beginning of the movie that later pays off.
Yeah.
That, I'll get into it later, but we learn about Hala, which is the capital of the Kree population.
Yeah.
And I've established in the Guardians episodes that, like, I have a really hard time with, like, the foreign places. Like, is it a planet?
Yes. It's the Kree. Kree is more...
Kree is the people.
Yes. So, I mean, there's...
Hala is the planet.
Yes. So, there's, like, Ronan, he's the leader of the Kree.
Yeah.
Technically, the exiled one.
Yeah.
The Guardians.
And so she's doing this, like, sparring fight with I'm not even gonna pretend to remember his name. Jude Law.
It's
something hyphenated.
They're all hyphenated names.
And he calls her Veers.
Yeah, that's what he said her name was.
In the latter half of the movie, you figure out that her her dog tag got cut off, and because her last name's Danvers. Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And I was because I was trying to figure out how, because obviously I knew going into this movie that her name was Carol Danvers.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know how, I was like, why is he calling her Veers? I'm confused. It's Carol Danvers, her, because I thought she was born an alien.
Yeah.
And, she went to Earth for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that was, her alias, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. Kind of like Thor's alias on Earth is Donald Blake.
Yeah.
Which I wish they would use more in the MCU.
It was more of, a tip of the hat kind of thing. Yeah. They didn't really,
It was more of, here's an Easter egg, guys, that we may do eventually.
Jude Law, to me, is young Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Which, I don't even want to talk about Fantastic Beasts when we get there. I'll say this, I don't think of them very favorably, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But I really like Jude Law.
Yeah.
He is the narrator in the Jim Carrey Series of Unfortunate Events movie.
He is?
Yes.
Oh, he's Lemmy Snicket?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is the only good part of that movie, arguably.
I have blocked that movie out of my brain at this point.
The TV show on Netflix is way better.
Yes.
Way better.
So.
But yeah, and he's also in The Holiday. It's a classic Christmas movie with Cameron Diaz.
Okay.
It's a great movie.
Okay.
If you want to feel good, it's a good one.
I'm good. If I want to feel good, I'll watch Iron Man 1.
Really?
Or Ragnarok. Actually, no, I'll watch Ragnarok if I want.
War Crimes is a feel good? Instead of warm, fuzzy Christmas time?
Fine. If I want a Christmas movie, I'll watch Nightmare Before Christmas. Better?
At least that's somewhat.
Or, I'll watch Die Hard. Or Iron Man 3.
What are you, Jake Peralta?
I'll watch Iron Man 3. Better?
That movie is really fun. It is a Christmas movie. In my eyes, it's a Christmas movie.
How is it a Christmas movie?
It takes place around Christmas. Jarvis has a stocking.
But they don't ever say the word Christmas in it.
He gets Pepper a giant bunny.
Holiday gift.
He says Merry Christmas. Anyway, this is not our Iron Man 2 episode. Go listen to that episode.
Yeah.
It's a fun episode.
With my sister.
Yeah. So basically, she goes up to the Supreme Intelligence, and he tells her that nobody can look at the Supreme Intelligence in its true form.
Yeah, because it is a giant computer.
So Supreme Intelligence is a boggart. Nobody knows what it actually looks like.
Oh my gosh. It is a computer.
Yeah, this seems weird.
It is. I mean, the only thing that would make sense would be for it to be some kind of AI.
The only way that I can describe...
Which is why no one has ever seen it.
The only way I can describe this chick who later figure out is Marvell. Don't even get me started on that name. The only word I can describe is she feels off to me. And I can't explain it.
Because that's the thing. The Supreme Intelligence shows up as a person that you know.
No, I know. This actress feels weird to me. All of her scenes, she's just, a hair too smug.
I mean, she is also Kree.
There's something unsettling about her, and I don't like her.
She's Kree. All the Kree people are weird. That's why, the Kree people, there's, blue person, the other blue person, Jude Law. I don't remember any of their names, but Kree, it's... the people, kind of like Asgardian.
Yeah. No, I got that. So her powers were... They keep the camera keeps, lingering on this, disc behind her ear.
So, Jude Law knows her full extent of her power. It's like a power dampening device.
Okay, because initially, at this point in the movie, I thought her powers were from that thing. I didn't realize it was from that blast later.
It's a power dampening device because he didn't want her, because he said, I think at some throwaway line, I think she said, when do I get this off me? And he said, when you can control your powers completely.
Not gonna lie, this movie is heavy dialogue.
Yeah.
And I really start checking out. Heavy dialogue.
I think it was
I don't know why I like shows like Game of Thrones, because that show is all dialogue.
Yes. No, I think it's just a throwaway line. I could be wrong, but I think it's when they were sparring or right after, because he says something along the lines of, you can get that off when you can beat me without your powers.
It's like minimizing her powers.
Yes.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I was gonna ask you that during the watch, but like
I mean, we also did watch it in 2 parts, like a week apart from each other. I'm trying, like the first part we watched before we were sick, and then the second part was like a week after we were sick. So I'm trying to remember some details from the first 40 minutes, which is all talk and no action.
It really is. So we figure out that this beginning scene she's basically we figure out that she was the victim of a Skrull invasion, which was what this attack scene at the beginning was.
What she was told.
But yeah, this is what we're told.
Yeah.
And the Skrulls are these like shape-shifting creatures, which we are led to believe are evil.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, they kind of look like Spirit Halloween masks.
But in
a little bit.
The comics and everything, the Skrull have never been evil, ever to my knowledge. I could be wrong. I don't know a lot about Captain Marvel or the Skrull. I know a lot of fan theories that tie in around the Skrull and some people that I will talk about later, which I was going to tell you about, but I forgot to talk to you about it, but I'll bring it up later.
Okay. I have no idea what he's talking about.
No, there's a fan theory that Nick Fury is Skrull. This entire time.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Why they were able to make such intellectual or technological advancements in 25 years. Like going from like the helicarrier, the tricarrier, all of that. I mean, Nick Fury has been thrown out of planes, been shot at, been stabbed, was almost killed, and he still lived. Same with Maria Hill. She got a building dropped on her in the first Avengers.
I don't know if I buy that fan theory.
It's more of where the Skrull were helping build S.H.I.E.L.D. to repay S.H.I.E.L.D. for helping them find a home. That's the fan theory.
So they're given a rescue mission to rescue one of their people. Yes. And they fly into a planet called Torfa. They figure out that the Skrulls are impersonating the locals. And basically she gets blasted and kidnapped. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of notes on this scene.
So
this seems way too long.
The Skrull was acting like her teammate.
And they give each other like codes
to talk, but the Skrull can remember short-term memory. So they can remember stuff from like the last hour or last couple hours. The last couple days.
While she's kidnapped, they have her hooked up to all these machines, and they're flashing through all her memories, mm-hmm. which gave me very Harry and Snape do all clemency lessons.
Yeah.
This is really the only point in the movie that is like establishing an era.
Yeah.
Like with the clothes, especially. Like there's a scene where she's singing at a bar and her hair is like very 80s.
Yeah.
As a little girl, she is like very 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Like. So,
and we get another McKenna Grace appearance.
Is that McKenna Grace?
Yes.
So, McKenna Grace, if you are not aware, is like the little girl who plays every blonde young actress.
She was also...
the young version.
She was also in Haunting on Hill House. She was one of the siblings.
I heard a joke a while ago. I know I've told you this. That... McKenna Grace, Kiernan Shipka, and Emma Watson are all, like, evolutions of each other.
Yes.
Which I think is hilarious.
Yes.
Because they all look so similar.
Who was the third one?
Kiernan Shipka.
Who's that?
She's the younger girl from Mad Men. She's Sabrina.
Okay.
I completely forgot she was in that.
Oh, yeah, she was also young Sabrina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She was the young Sabrina.
If only Emma Watson was in that show. It was, like... her mom or something.
Yeah, she's a young Sabrina.
That's funny.
I think. It's been a long time since I watched the show.
So there's that joke that they're like the evolutions. Is that what it's called?
The evolution. It wouldn't be Eevee. It would be evolution.
I don't know. I saw a meme of it a really long time ago.
Yeah.
So we learned about Project Pegasus,
which we've heard about before.
We have.
And one of, I think, the Phase 1 movies.
Not gonna lie, I do not remember that. So she escapes their capture.
Yes.
They basically are looking for Lawson, and they blow a hole in the side of the ship.
Yes.
And Veers, she's Veers at this point.
Yes.
Lands on Earth on a Blockbuster in California. Which, like, do you remember going to Blockbuster? Because I barely do.
Yes.
I vaguely remember it.
When I first moved back to Texas, there was a Blockbuster up the street, and I always worked there. When I first moved back in 2013.
I think one of my brothers might have worked there for a point in time, but I don't remember. And we get Coulson.
Mm-hmm.
Coulson is there, and Baby Nick Fury is what I wrote down in my notes.
Yeah.
I call him Baby Nick Fury.
Double-eyed Fury.
And we get our Stan Lee cameo on the bus, or on the subway,
which is probably the saddest cameo.
He does not look well in that scene.
No, he was sicker than sick. He was reading a script from
Mallrats.
From Mallrats.
It's a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
And I only know Kevin Smith because he makes multiple cameos in Degrassi.
Yeah, but he is a major...
I know that's like deep cut.
No, he is a major comic book fan.
No, and his daughter's name is Harley Quinn.
Yes.
And his daughter is actually in a show that was on Hulu called Cruel Summer.
Mm-hmm.
She's like one of the leads in that.
But so after 7 or 8 takes, Stan Lee couldn't say his lines loud enough, and so they had to ad-lib.
I did really like how, because she's still in her like getup, like her spacesuit or whatever, and she's like wandering around this town, and she's like looking at people funny, and people are looking at her funny, and she's like standing really weird, and like she's having a really hard time like blending in. Which I did really like the acting choice. It's very clear that she's like a fish out of water. Oh, and she punches an old lady because she
realizes that
the old lady is a Skrull.
Yes, and so they're fighting on the train. The Skrull get into the train. She sees the old lady. The old lady looks at her. She punches the old lady in the face. People gang up on her to like stop her from hitting an old lady. And the old lady just, like, kicks her in the chest. And, like, knocks her back, which was really funny.
So we figure out that Coulson is
fake.
A fake. He's a Skrull.
Yeah, because Coulson's been in the car with Fury. And then he gets a call from Coulson saying, like, hey, I just processed the scene at Blockbuster. Where did everyone go?
Yeah.
And then he freaks out, and Nick Fury shoots the fake Coulson in the head.
Yeah. And then she gets hit on in a bar parking lot.
Oh, no, it's not California.
I think it is. I think he does reference it's L.A.
Okay, that's weird, because the Air Force base that they would probably be referencing would be in Nevada. It'll be close to, like, Area 51, I would guess.
I'm not sure.
I mean, it is not far from California.
So she gets hit on, and this guy is so creepy.
Yeah.
And
she goes to the bar and steals a motorcycle, or goes to a random bar and steals a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And then goes to the bar that she's been seeing in her brain.
Yeah.
And then we go to Fury in the morgue with the alien body.
Yep.
And then we see Nick Fury's boss talking to them, and he sniffs the body saying, we'll get her soon, or something like that.
So creepy.
Is that the creepy guy?
I think so. Oh, no, the sketchy guy.
The sketchy guy.
Is that guy.
Okay, so at that point we realize that his boss has been taken over by Kree. Or we assume, but we don't know for sure.
And so we arrive at Pegasus.
Or Nick finds her at that bar.
Yeah.
And so they interrogate each other. And then she's like, how do I know you're not a Kree? Which makes no sense because she knows nothing about his past. So he could make literally anything up.
Yeah.
And then he says, how do I know you're not Kree? And then she just uses her hand fire blast and puts a hole in the wall. And then she says, Kree can't do that. And he's like, well, how am I supposed to know? Like, that whole scene, he's never seen a Kree before. She's never talked to Nick Fury before. So, that whole interaction makes zero sense.
Feels weird.
Right? Like,
yeah.
How can when I first met you, I could have asked you what's your past. You could have made something completely up, and I would have believed you.
I mean, this is literally how people get away with catfishing.
Yes. So, they both could have been Kree. Who knows? We know that they're not, but Captain Marvel knew nothing about Nick Fury, and Nick Fury knew nothing about the Kree.
Yeah.
So it's like telling a blind person to lead someone who's deaf.
So they arrive at Pegasus.
Yes.
And they need, like, a fingerprint to get out of the room that they're in.
Yeah, so they go in.
And Nick Fury uses Scotch tape to get the fingerprint.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't think that would work.
Yeah, that's how we saw that all the time in CSI.
Yeah, but, like, I don't think a piece of Scotch tape would do that.
Yeah, it's the same as what they would...
Like a transfer tape?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Just a transfer tape is bigger than Scotch tape. And it's more reliable. But Scotch tape will work in a pinch. I've seen them use it in CSI.
I mean, I believe you. It just feels a little convenient to me.
Yeah.
And we meet Goose, which, because our son is obsessed with the We Didn't Start the Fire song, like, literally it's the only thing that makes him smile when he's sad.
Yeah.
I know that Goose the cat was a thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be much more integral to the plot than it was.
It is. But that's the thing. Another issue that I have is with later in this movie.
Oh my god.
No, I'm not even talking about the eye thing.
That Goose is a flirkin?
No.
Okay, anyway.
We've
learned that Lawson is Kree.
Yes.
And that her name is Marvel.
Yes.
Big eye roll at that name.
I mean, that is the original Captain Marvel's name, is Marvel. That was their actual...
It's a wee bit on the nose.
No, for some reason, Kree people have a hyphen in their name. For some reason.
Yeah. I just feel like it's a wee bit on the nose.
Yeah. But, I mean, what are you supposed to do?
So, Nick and Carol, we don't know her name is Carol, but they're getting chased by Skrull, and they escape on a ship.
Yeah.
And we learn that Goose is a stowaway.
Mm-hmm. And then we get to see Ronan! Yay! Everyone's favorite dead villain!
From...
Guardians. Which, at that point, you learn that the Skrull were evil. At that point. Right?
I think it's later.
You should have guessed that Skrull were evil because of Ronan. Ronan was evil.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
You forgot who Ronan was.
No. I stopped paying that close attention. This movie is very boring. So they arrive in Louisiana to her friend and her daughter.
Yeah, but you should have guessed that the Kree... I mean, the Kree are always evil. They've never done anything nice. Their leader is Ronan. He's one of their generals. Ronan just wants to kill everyone.
Yeah. So, Talos is in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And we learn that Goose is a flirkin.
Yeah. So, we learned that. So, Carol and her friend, I don't remember her name for the life of me, we're talking all day. The little girl went outside to get the jacket, and we realized that Talos was impersonating the little girl. So they all freak out, and he's like, okay, let me tell you the truth. She's like, why should I believe you? Everything that I've been told in my life, or in the last 6 years, were that you would go planet to planet and kill everyone. No. The Kree destroyed their home world because Skrull wouldn't bow down to Kree leadership. Kind of like what Ronan wanted in Guardians. Ronan is just a horrible dictator, essentially.
And we flash back...
universal domination.
We flash back to the crash at the very beginning that we saw with Lawson. And this is where we learn that Jude Law is the bad guy.
Yeah.
And she blasts the energy core that's in the ship.
The light drive. The light speed drive.
Yeah. And that's how she gets her.
It.
That's how she gets her powers.
Yeah.
And they go to fight the Kree.
Yes. Or they try to find Marvel's lab.
I like that she has Monica, the little girl, help her with her signature colors. I think that was really sweet.
And we will see Monica again.
Okay.
We will see her in WandaVision. But also remember, WandaVision is present day, while Captain Marvel was 80s, like 85.
Yeah.
So
Well, present day, doesn't it take place in different decades?
it's hard to explain.
Okay.
Yes and no. It's the easiest way to answer your question.
So this conversation that they're basically asking Talos what he can and can't turn into is literally the only part of this movie that made me giggle.
Yeah, like, can you turn into a filing cabinet? Why would I turn into a filing cabinet? And just different things like that. Like, do you get their memories? Yes, but it's only for a short time. Can anyone do it? Yes, but it does take training.
Yeah.
And it does take a special skill to do it.
And we go up to Marvel's lab and we learn that she had the Tesseract.
Mm-hmm. So, which two people has been affected by an Infinity Stone to get their powers?
To get their powers?
Yes. Or technically three.
Wanda,
Mm-hmm.
Quicksilver,
Yep.
and Captain Marvel.
Yes. I don't know why it took you so long for that one.
I couldn't tell if it was a trick question.
No, it's not. She got her because she made the light speed drive with power from the Tesseract. So, technically it's not from the Tesseract, but it's from the Tesseract's power.
A bunch of Skrull are hiding in the lab.
For 20...
Okay.
Or for 6 years now.
This is really bugging me, why this scene looked so freaking familiar to me. It reminded me of Mac and Me.
How?
Baby aliens? The way that they walk and the weird masks. Okay, if you are not aware of what Mac and Me is, Mac and Me was a E.T. ripoff made by McDonald's. Yes, the fast food chain. It is probably the single worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Look up clips on YouTube. You will not be disappointed. Have a dumb movie night with your friends or with your spouse or whoever. It's a good time. It's a bad movie, but it's a good time.
It is painful.
But it's funny.
Yes, it is hilarious.
But I could not place it until just this second.
I don't see it.
Why this like alien family reminded me, like why they like ring a bell to me.
I don't see it though.
I don't know. This is why fast food chains should not make movies.
Yeah. So they're running through. They have the Florkin eat the Tesseract. My complaint is, okay,
I forgot that happened.
with the Florkin eating the Tesseract.
Oh, the Flurkin, because like he turns into this weird half cat, half squid.
Octopus thing and eats the Tesseract. How did they get it out of it?
Did you have to cut it out?
So, here's the thing. S.H.I.E.L.D. got the Tesseract.
I just got real morbid.
No, so S.H.I.E.L.D. got the Tesseract when they got Captain America out of the water. They found the Tesseract in the 1940s. Or they followed the signature of the Tesseract. They got the Tesseract. The Tesseract was in a S.H.I.E.L.D. containment bunker in the 70s.
Yeah.
Lawson took the Tesseract out of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s safety to put onto her alien ship. When?
Honestly,
So
this movie messes with the timeline worse than Endgame does.
But in Endgame, they fix it.
That's my point.
So
This is just straight up retconning.
yes. So from it going from the S.H.I.E.L.D. bunker to the spaceship into the Florkin, then back to S.H.I.E.L.D. Did they have to kill the cat, or did they just have to wait the cat to die?
Editing Sarah here. So upon further research, we realized we missed a post-credit sequence for this movie wherein Goose throws up the Tesseract. So just disregard this entire rant. We're sorry.
Wouldn't have Peggy looked for it? Wouldn't Howard Stark look for it?
This is why this movie gets into like, I can really roast a bad movie. I have a really hard time roasting movies that just have issues.
Yeah.
Because
they changed so much stuff.
What gets to me more than bad cinematography, bad acting, is retconning. I really hate... I think that's a lot of why I don't like a lot of the Fantastic Beasts series, is like, it's retcon central. And I really don't... I think it opens so many doors that don't even need to be touched.
Like, that's the thing. That's how I am with Captain Marvel.
Like, I stand by this statement. This movie messes with the timeline more than Endgame does, and Endgame deals with time travel.
Yes. Like, they could have done Captain Marvel without introducing the Tesseract. This movie would have a whole lot less issues.
This movie just has real structural problems.
Yes.
Anyway, we could dwell on this all friggin' night. So this battle is like super boring, but anyway,
But cinematography-wise, in lighting-wise, it was cool. I have to give it that.
Sure.
With her powers being like red and orange and blues, and everyone else's is like green and like dark blue, it does look cool because they are opposite colors of each other. So it does look cool.
And ultimately, she defeats Jude Law.
And then we get to see Ronan again. Yay! Everyone's favorite villain who did nothing.
He was literally... I wouldn't even give him the role of Puppet Master.
No, he was just their lead.
No,
but...
And then we learn probably my biggest issue with this entire movie is that's how Nick Fury went blind in one eye?
Yes.
And I said this at the beginning of the episode. I wish they left that ambiguous. I think it adds to his mysteriousness. His mystique, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, I really didn't need to know the backstory of his eye. I really wish that it wasn't a cat.
Yeah.
I think it's stupid. I think it's weird. I think it was played for a dumb joke.
Oh, they could have gone with something much cooler. Like, he could have gone his eye damaged in a firefight.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, a la, like, Hela to Thor. Like, damages his eye.
Something scratched his eye.
I literally, in my notes, all caps, a cat blinds him in one eye, WTF.
Yeah.
That's word for word what I wrote down.
Yeah. And so...
She gives him the updated pager, which is what we saw at the end of Infinity War.
Which
poses an entire other question. Why did he not freaking call her?
He should have called... I mean, New York, I understand.
Because she didn't well, she did exist.
No. New York, I understand. But Ultron was an entire city. If it fell, it would have destroyed the Earth.
The tagline of this movie is the world's strongest Avenger. Wouldn't you want the world's strongest or superhero or whatever the tagline is?
To help?
Yeah.
I would. I would want her on Earth. I would want that person on Earth.
I'm sorry. If I was, I don't know, Bruce, or whatever. If I was whatever, I would... No, and I learned that this chick existed, and then Nick Fury did not call her, I'd be like, Nick, what the hell? Why didn't he call her? Why he didn't call her was because she didn't exist in the MCU yet.
Yep, that is why.
And they were like, we're gonna pull one over on them, gotcha.
Yeah, they could have introduced her in the first Avengers, where she just had her own throwaway movie, but not included with the Avengers. They could have put her...
She could have had, like, a little, like, cameo, little, like, one scene, one-liner.
Something.
A la Spider-Man in Civil War.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Something like that. Or even an in-scene credit I would have been fine with. In, like, Iron Man or Hulk.
I just needed, like, a seed to be planted.
Yes, but there was no seed. There was no seed at all.
A tree doesn't come from nowhere.
Yeah. And with saying she's the strongest, she is not.
I don't understand why that's how they market this movie.
It's because she was made from the Tesseract, and the Tesseract is second most powerful Infinity Stone. That's why.
My big takeaway from this movie is a giant eye roll.
Yes, absolutely.
I swear I rolled my eyes like 500 times watching this movie. So we learn about the Protector Initiative, which becomes the Avengers.
Because her nickname was Carol the Avenger Danvers. Was on the side
her
of
ship.
Her plane had the Avenger on it, and so he changed it to the Avengers Protocol.
I really wish the Avengers themselves did not hinge on this character.
They would be called the Protectors. But this was more
That's not as catchy.
But this was more of a...
Is that an MCU thing, not a comics thing?
Yeah.
So, the end credit sequence is...
21 days after Infinity War.
And it's basically Captain America and Black Widow and
Hulk and Rhodey are trying to fix the pager because it keeps going off.
Which, I have beef with the hairstylist in Endgame. What the heck is up with Natasha's eyebrows in this scene?
I don't know.
I have so many other problems with with Captain Marvel, but like that scene, but her eyebrows were bugging the crap out of me the entire scene. Yeah, she just like comes in and like
she's like, "Where's Nick Fury?" Like, no, hi.
So we learned that
Who
she
are
didn't get
you?
dusted.
She and Star-Lord are the only ones, in my opinion, that deserve to get dusted.
And we lost Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Instead of her. So yeah, that is Captain Marvel. Frankly, I was not looking forward to recording this episode, but honestly, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No. I don't even know why I'm asking. Where do you rank this movie?
I literally said to Matthew yesterday, it might be worse than Thor for me.
I think Thor 1 is still better.
Like, no, that's what I'm saying.
Or no, I don't know. It's in the bottom for me.
Like, I think it like...
The one thing I do like about it, we do learn more about Nick Fury.
Yeah, and I like Goose. I like, what's her face?
Goose can, it's just a cat.
I like the sidekick characters, though.
Yeah.
But
Goose is not a sidekick character.
I like...
Goose is only...
I like what's her face with the best friend chick and her daughter.
But we'll be seeing a lot more of the Skrull at the end of Phase 6.
Okay. So yeah, that is a wrap on Captain Marvel. Frankly, I'm glad to have it checked off.
Same here.
Seriously, for weeks, Matthew was like, do we have to? I was like, oh, just give it a chance. I get it now. And frankly, this is probably one of the few that, like, we have both really not liked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have very, like, obviously the whole crux of this whole podcast is that we're polar opposites.
Yeah.
We don't have the same opinions on many, many things.
Yeah.
And the fact that we both really didn't like this movie is a testament to, like...
Yeah, so...
Next week we will be covering Avengers Endgame.
Which is the end of Phase 3.
And I can assure you, next week will be a lot more positive.
Which, also, just letting you guys know, we are still taking questions for our Q&A episode.
Yep, which will happen after No Way Home.
Yes, it will happen after No Way Home.
And is this a good time to announce our plans for November?
Yes. So, for the month of November, we will be covering the TV shows. WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, and Moon Knight.
Excluding Miss Marvel and She-Hulk.
Because we could do She-Hulk.
Well, we're doing the 2021 shows.
Yes, we're doing the 2021 and early 2022 shows.
Because...
All together, just because it is a lot to do all at one time. So we're going to do a week of each show.
So, for example, for WandaVision...
It will be 3 days worth.
So it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Falcon, Loki, Hawkeye, and Moon Knight are all 6 episodes each, so those would probably be on Monday and Friday. Or no, let's do Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
We'll do Monday, Wednesday.
We don't have a catchy Marvel Monday kind of thing we don't have a catchy alliteration
but we'll be dropping several episodes a week for those, just so that we don't have a 9-hour podcast, a 6-hour podcast.
Yep. So, get excited for those. I know a lot of people, when they cover the TV shows, they cover them episode by episode, but, like, frankly, we'd be here for freaking years.
Because WandaVision has 9 episodes, and the rest have 6, so that would be another 5 months just on those 5 shows.
Exactly. And frankly, I don't have...
And there is a lot of filler in those.
I don't have the mental capacity to do that. Like, watching a TV show and watching a movie is very different.
And we don't want to do 30-minute episodes. We want to keep with our normal hour and a half long.
I try to stay as close to, like, I try to go over an hour, just because I know people listen, like, I personally like listening to podcasts when I'm getting ready, or when I'm going to work, or, you know, that kind of stuff, and, like, I don't like quick episodes.
Quick, short, yeah. So
occasionally they have their place, but...
Yeah, so we're going to try to keep them about an hour long for each, give or take. WandaVisions will be probably closer to an hour and a half, 2 hours for each, just because we'll be doing 3 episodes in each.
Yeah.
2 or 3 episodes in each, it just depends on... Because, like, some episodes are together in one decade, and then the next couple will be a different, so we just have to see.
And we are working several weeks ahead, so currently in real time for us, it's the end of August.
Yeah.
And at the end of October, Matthew's sister is getting married, and that's like literally right before WandaVision comes out. And so we're trying to get way ahead.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be out of town. So be patient with us. That format is gonna be a little different for us.
Yeah. So if it's a little
disjointed.
Yeah.
If we have some growing pains.
Yeah. If it's a little disjointed, or if it feels a little repetitive, we apologize. We're trying something new with the TV shows.
And yeah, obviously we have quite a while until that happens.
Yeah.
Well, I guess at the point that you guys are listening to this, I guess we don't have that long.
Because,
but anyway.
Yeah, if these TV shows do well this way, we may change how we do Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk to be slightly different, but we do want to hear your guys' input.
So yeah, that basically covers all of our bases here. Join us next week for Avengers Endgame, and we shall talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
If you would like to send us any feedback or any messages, you can follow us over on Instagram at thefanclub_podcast or on Twitter at fanclub_podcast. Or you can discuss each episode with us over on our subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/thefanclubpodcast. And make sure that you tune in every Marvel Monday.